Do you feel it? Do you feel alive now? It's gonna be okay, you guys. Oh.
It did not go well. I expected much better. My fault because I believed in you.
I'm getting really tired of trust being taken advantage of and then the victim getting blamed for it. Hello again, everybody. Today I want to talk about the intersection between gaming and trust and how it's getting abused in the industry. Allow me to set the mood here. I can't explain. Have you ever had someone make you trust them by keeping promises? How about by telling you they're a good person assertively but not being able to prove it? Yeah, me too. Anyway, gaming has gotten very competitive for both players and developers. Large game studios like Ubisoft are getting sold off to China, while small boy furries like Zeekers are thriving. Developers are learning that just making a game isn't enough. They just drown in the sea of other devs. It's getting to the place also where even the vaunted "put a scantily clad woman on the cover art" isn't working, because everybody else does that too. They need game deving's premium currency, the gold that bypasses all the grind: trust. Trust, rapport, confidence, however you want to word it, has become extremely important in the gaming industry, for better or worse. This has become both a blessing and a curse. I'll explain. It's led to some of the industry embracing customer-first practices in order to gain trust the right way, and others using their position to manipulate people. Just like hackers tend to ruin the experience of a game for everyone, especially a competitive multiplayer game, me-first development and outreach practices can ruin the experience of game development for everyone. Enter the world of the public game dev influencer big studio combo. All of them now are more proactively than ever doing things with and to their people. So I'm going to add whatever a small boy channel like mine can add to this conversation in order to show the highlights of what to look out for and how to set expectations wisely. Semi-Work is a good baseline to talk about this. Not because that they're a particularly good company, but because I have already talked about them and I have them in memory, so I'm going to cover them again. You can watch that video, by the way, if you want to. They make few commitments and tend to keep them, and they give very few time estimates. They're putting themselves in the same situation as you, the player, by playing their own game and actually directly interacting with players in-game. They allow you to trust their actions rather than simply their intentions. You know that they want to make a good game by them attempting to make a good game. It's the action that matters a lot more than saying, "Oh, we're a good game developer, so what we make is good." That doesn't fly anymore. I'm not saying that these are specifically like an awesome team or anything, but rather, we're not expected to trust them personally, but trust they're trying to deliver the best possible experience to the players. Good. For my first negative example, we're going to pick Sungrand Studios. Oh, darn it, Sungrand. This video actually got a lot of views. Well, I mean, a lot of views for me. It's not much for anybody else, but it's a lot for me. Sungrand started by gaining trust, being the whole champion for the average gamer, and how he wasn't a YouTuber, he was a game dev on a mission. He made videos about diversity and whatnot, and personally, I thought some of his content was actually pretty good. Some of it was a bit odd, but I was generally behind him. That is, until he started going off the rails a little bit, and if you started to look into his actual income, the games he made were pretty niche. They didn't make a whole lot, from what I can tell. So he diversified into YouTube and started bigging up this big rapport and started building up traction. And then he pulls what I can only describe as the biggest stepdad move ever.
I really believed in you guys. I have been the only industry professional addressing this matter in the public space in a direct way. You've just destroyed our credibility. I'm so disappointed in you. I thought you were more mature. I thought you were more intelligent.
By whenever his people weren't acting the way he expected, starts telling them how disappointed he is in them and how they all are the problem and the reason he can't do what he does. Essentially blaming the viewer for his inability to succeed. But they're the reason you're succeed. I don't get it. Anyway, he did end up taking this video down, but that's not quite how the internet works. So it's up on YouTube now, and I suggest you go watch it if you're a Sungrand fan, because this is ridiculous behavior, and it manipulates people who really trust you and think that they may have actually done something wrong. Lesson learned from me, be very wary of people who claim moral high ground and need you to trust them personally instead of their actions. His only real actions were niche, fringe games and angry YouTube videos. The rest, I'm sorry, actually ended up being vibrato. Ubisoft's The Crew. Never trust the French. They gain trust by being a big company, right? They make Assassin's Creed and Far Cry. A lot of people really enjoyed these games, and for a long time, a beloved company many people trusted to launch reliable content and keep it supported. One of these games people really enjoyed was The Crew, a pretty cool looking racing game that allowed you to crew up with other people and get into races similar to Forza Horizon. However, in the biggest gaming bait and switch there was, they took The Crew down and revoked licenses. And they're currently in court arguing that people shouldn't expect to own their own games that they buy. What? Looking at the players and saying, no, that's your fault. You should have realized that whenever you buy a game from us, it's just our good graces that allow you to play it. You shouldn't be allowed to own any of this, even though, of course, you paid for it and you've probably put thousands of hours into it. That doesn't matter. It doesn't make enough money. This was a huge breach of trust that has backfired badly, as they've essentially had to sell out to Tencent, who will probably put them straight, or at least straighter than they are. Don't trust the French! And my third and last one, Game Freak. I don't have to introduce them or say how they've gained trust. They make Pokemon. Who doesn't know about this? However, they exploited it by being the big and wonderful friendly company they are. They also have high standards for their players. High standards that you weren't expected to know, but you're going to be judged by anyway. So if you didn't know, getting certain stats on Pokemon, like minimum speed and minimum attack, can actually be very difficult, especially whenever you're looking for legendaries with certain stat distributions. This can be important for competitive play. Well, let's say if you want a Trick Room team, you need a minimum speed Pokemon in order to take the best advantage of that. So some people use a service to get Pokemon that you would technically be able to get in-game, but more easily change their base stats. This offered no competitive advantage and allowed players to be more creative with their builds because they weren't spending days on end grinding to get the things that they needed. The Pokemon Company proceeds to permaban influencers who are using these techniques openly. Some of which, again, who are trying to make a name for themselves in the space or even a career out of Pokemon. No, their Switch just can't access the game now. I'm sorry, you don't get it. License revoked. This is another huge breach of trust, where we see that Nintendo is very willing to pull an Ubisoft and say, no, you just don't get access to that anymore because you didn't want to grind through and play the game exactly the way that they intended, which, I'm sorry, I don't see any of them actually doing it. They make things intentionally very difficult and then blame players for trying to find a way around it. So be very careful what you do with a Nintendo console, by the way, because they could just brick it if they felt like it, and it's not beyond them to do it. So yeah, with all that being said, be careful out there, gamers. There's a lot of influencers and game companies out there wanting to take advantage of your very valuable time, and more so, your hard-earned cash. But we live in a day and time where it's not as simple just to scam people. You can't simply say, hey, you can't have that anymore. No, people will do a lawsuit now. Things are much more visible than they've ever been, and hopefully, not just small content creators, but larger content creators and larger companies can keep poking holes in this archaic, almost feudal system where people say, well, I have the big IP, so I can do anything I want to. Well, maybe not, and hopefully not anymore. So anyway, hope you stay safe out there. Call out bad practices when you see them. If enough people say something, hopefully something will happen, right? And happy trails, partner. And subscribe, please. For me,